Scandinavian Bob here, hi. So today I'm starting a 20-week semen retention challenge that I'm going to do myself, and you're more than welcome to join me on this journey if you're up for it. Today is day 1 and I'm planning to do it for 140 days straight. Now, before any of you freak out here, no, I have not relapsed. The last time I relapsed to adult sites was in January 2019. And I just calculated that that is 1722 days ago. My older subscribers already know my history. However, since I get new followers every week who are not yet familiar with my story, I have to keep explaining every now and then. So here's the deal. Once I overcame my addiction to porn, I have always had zero tolerance for adult sites in my life. In other words, I will never ever go back to using those. But after that, I have on top of that been using retention in different cycles, but not always. In other words, I have had periods where I haven't been doing retention at all. But yes, most of the time I have indeed been experimenting with different lengths of retention cycles as well to see what kind of lengths I feel the best on. And I have had plenty of long retention streaks, with my longest one being around 8 months or so. But for me, longer is not better. And I'm strictly talking about retention when I say that, because when it comes to staying away from porn, then longer is definitely better. In fact, 0 should be your goal there. But you see, for a lot of guys, it works like this. Once you overcome your porn addiction and you get so far that it's now years behind you, when it comes to retention in and of itself, there is definitely a point of diminishing returns. In other words, most people have a specific length that once they pass that point, there's not much more in store for them, even if they keep it going. Now, maybe not for everyone, but that is definitely the case for me and most guys. So, to make one thing absolutely clear here, my goal has never ever been to never bust any more nuts in my life, and I will never ever set such a goal for myself. In fact, if I go far above and beyond my point of diminishing returns, I actually start to lose some of the extra energy and drive I get from the retention in the first place. So far, I have found that for me, I tend to do best on cycles of around 40 days or so. Sometimes I do shorter cycles and sometimes a bit longer. But rarely have I noticed any additional benefits building up after the 60-day mark or so. Now, a couple of things here. This does not apply if you break your streaks with porn, because if you say, hey, longer retention streaks are best for me because I always feel worse after a relapse, but then you use porn every time you relapse. Well, you can't know if it was the porn or the release in and of itself that was the biggest cause for taking away that awesome feeling you were riding on. And I'm here to tell you guys, most likely it was the porn, not the release in and of itself. So, if you haven't overcome your porn addiction yet, you simply cannot put too much weight on the numbers here. Because remember, longer is always better when it comes to staying away from porn. I have always said that quitting porn will give you at least 95% of the benefits, and I still stand by that. And if you've been using porn for many years, well, then you can expect to see those benefits getting stronger and stronger for maybe up to a year or even longer after quitting porn. Now, this is why it will be hard for you to find your optimal retention cycles before you have your porn use under control. Now, retention is cool and it does come with benefits, but since 95% of the benefits comes from quitting porn, you can look at the retention benefits just like icing on the cake. And then also, when it comes to retention, everyone has their own point of diminishing returns. So for those who want to do retention, it's up to each and everyone to figure out what their optimal cycle would look like. Now, I know we also have a minority of guys who aim for zero busting, and they want to stay on a lifelong retention cycle, so to speak, with absolutely no busting ever. And hey, that's totally fine too. It's up to each and every one. But again, that's not for me. So, having explained all of that, the reason why I now want to do a longer streak, even longer than my point of diminishing returns, is because, well, I like challenges. And right now I just feel like challenging my sexual urges for a long time. Because even though I have a point of diminishing returns, I have to admit there is something cool about stacking up days. There's something to be said about staying on your path and just focusing on your goals. And so that's what I want to do now. I was planning on starting a really long streak earlier this summer. In fact, I even sent out a newsletter to my email list about that. But then the summer got in the way with some personal stuff I'm not going to go into details about. But as you can imagine, of course it involved some thoughts of, well, if the time has come when I finally would find the one, the lady I'm going to grow old with. But it turned out that fate had something else in mind. And also, my summer was a bit messy with other kinds of instant gratification stuff. Again, no porn, but all kinds of other cheap dopamine stuff. So I feel a bit dopamine unhealthy right now. And so that's another reason why I really want to do a super streak right now. And here's the thing. I promise you guys that I will tell you if I relapse. Because yes, I know there is actually a good chance that I might relapse. It really is. Why? Well, it's because of what I just told you. It has to do with my why and the meaning I put on porn. I told you I have zero tolerance for porn and that I will never ever go back to it again. And I also told you that 95% of all the benefits from NoFap comes from quitting porn. And I said that retention then is just icing on the cake. It's just a nice bonus you can do if you even want to. And since I have that view, it means I wouldn't feel like it's such a big deal if I break my retention streak. And so that's why I'm also at bigger risk for relapsing when it comes to semen retention. Simply because retention is not as important for me as staying away from porn. And I'm not going to try to convince myself otherwise either. Telling myself that now all of a sudden my retention streak is as important to me as staying away from porn is. Because no, that's simply not the case. And I would be lying to myself if I did that. And to you. But that's good news for you guys then. Because it will make my journey more interesting to follow. Because I do have to admit, I would feel embarrassed if I relapsed. Especially if I relapsed already on, say, day 12, or even worse, day 4. Oh man. So I will certainly do my very best here. And I will let you know how I'm doing. And also, who knows if my point of diminishing returns has changed. It can do that over time, and it can do that depending on what other activities you do during your streak. For example, I plan to do a lot of dopamine fasting protocols as well, along with cardio and cold showers. And dopamine fasting is such a potent tool that comes with so many additional benefits and can give you such strange experiences that no one knows what it fully can do to the point of diminishing returns when it's combined with retention. And so this is going to be very exciting to find out. Alright, so I wanted to let you guys in on this, and if you feel like it, by all means join my challenge. And if you do, then please let me and the rest know in the comment section below. I'm actually looking forward to this, so it would be fun to have you with me here. And oh hey, if you're here for the first time, hit subscribe right now, because you don't want to miss this. And also, if you haven't already, make sure to download my free 90-day no porn advice and tool guide to make it easier for you on this journey. You can find a link to it below, right under the video. This is Scandinavian Bob signing out for today. Keep going and stay strong.